Don't think there's too much more to say on that one. We've got a string of metalcore albums to keep going with. There's a lot of metalcore this month. Looking at the playlist now. Let's talk about ERRA, who have released their brand new album, Cure.
Very interesting surprise, I feel like would kind of be the way to put it.
I was very pleasantly surprised with this album.
I would agree. Yeah. It helps. Well, Cure, I really enjoyed as a single. I know, Jacob, you really enjoyed Blue Reverie.
Yes.
Derek, I don't remember if you really liked any of the singles going into this.
I wasn't really feeling any of them, no. You know, I didn't get it.
I have to say this. The album, the vinyl is like $30, which is cheap for here. And I've debated buying it so many times. I haven't done it yet because it's not my favorite ERRA album, but it is a very, very good album.
That thing's gonna shoot up in price once their tour gets more prominent.
I'm going to see this. I'm so glad I bought a ticket for that. That lineup is so good.
Yeah, I'm kind of regretting. I mean, I think they pushed their coming to me as Boston, which is not very easy for me to get to, but with the run that Make Them Suffer about, and isn't Boy Division on that tour too, if I remember correctly?
And Novelist.
Yeah, like that would have been a fun show. Oh well. I want to start with Cure, the title track, also the opening track on this album. I didn't realize it at the time when it came out as singles. I really just didn't give it the time of the day. But the breakdown in that song, I think, is one of my favorite breakdowns of the year. And the call out of longing for a wish or a cure, a failsafe. I don't know why, but that call out into the breakdown has been stuck in my head. Like, sometimes I'll just think of that line and, like, the chunkiness of that breakdown randomly out of nowhere. Yeah, I've listened to Cure as, like, a song, as a single, like, maybe 10 times, and it has more staying power than almost any other metalcore breakdown that I've heard this year, which is crazy. With all that being said, it is not my favorite song on this album, because my favorite song on this album, and top 3 ERRA song, in my opinion, Slow Sour Bleed.
Yeah,
that
is fucking phenomenal. That song is fucking phenomenal. I love how it's like inverse metalcore where the choruses are JT and the verses are Jesse, where it's like you're singing in the verses and screaming in the chorus, which is typically the inverse of how most metalcore songs are. And it works so well. JT's delivery in the chorus of Primal Rage to Sedate Lucid Memory, Salvation of the Undone, and then later on in the chorus of Fragile Things, Vanishing in the in-between. One of my favorite vocal deliveries of the entire year.
Wait, you're also forgetting the freaking instrumental break, which is so awesome. I want to see that live.
That part,
so bad.
The instrumental break is great too.
Dancing. When I see that, I'm gonna literally be dancing my ass off.
I would too. I'm not much of a dancer, but I would be grooving a little bit to that one, you know? Yeah, Slow Sour Bleed, next to Snowblood and Gungrave, top 3 ERRA song in my opinion.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there with dancing, and I think that's what makes this album so good, is the fact that they're self-titled. In retrospect, I was singing praise upon praise upon praise about that album, and in hindsight, it's really samey. And I feel like the kind of more ethereal, vibey moments that it was going for don't quite hit, and it just comes off as very, very proggy, very, whatever. It's technically impressive, but I could take it or leave it. What really impressed me about this album is that it brought vibes. Like, there are vibes and groovy, danceable moments on here. It's like,
I think the one in Slow Sour Bleed is the most, what's the word? Not obnoxious. Noticeable? I don't know. I don't know the word I'm looking for. But yeah, finish what you're saying.
God. It's almost like, do you guys know what Queer Eye is?
No.
It's like, it's a show where, and I know I say this, I've never even seen it. I just know the premise that this straight guy comes to these like gay guys because he's like, I need to fix my style, like I need my swag back type of thing, and they like all get together and help him. It's like they took their self-titled The Queer Eye and it came out like really well dressed and like,
and it came out cured
and like, yeah. Like, it took the best parts of what ERRA does best and like almost yassified it, you know. Like it's
Well, the real reason is probably because they toured with Bad Omens.
Well, I heard I didn't see this interview, but I heard that they did an interview and they all chose their favorite song from self-titled, and apparently it was all like the melodic ones, like the whole band.
Good.
So I'm this seems like the direction they definitely wanted to go, and I'm really glad because it reminds me so much of Drift, and it's not like it at all because it's more like you said, it's more like dancey and more fun.
Mm-hmm. What I do appreciate about this is that you can still tell that it's ERRA, but they don't feel like they're flexing what they can do. Like it's less, it's still technical, but it's not in your face technical. It's the groove and vibe is at the forefront rather than taking a back seat.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, like there's a lot of songs from that last album. I'm thinking of like Scorpion Hymn, Eidolon, Remnant, those sort of like somewhat longer songs that, I mean, Scorpion Hymn's not really longer, but they never did anything for me because they were almost like too technical for me to really find something to groove and attach myself to. Where the only song that I wasn't really able to connect with on this album was Past Life Persona.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I think that might be my favorite.
So my favorite, I think, is. Well, I actually don't know if I have a favorite. There's so many good ones.
My clear favorite is Slow Sour Bleed.
I will say this: my favorite non-single is Glimpse.
Yeah. I didn't end up saving any of the singles off of this. My favorite's the Four-Way Tie.
Did you count Slow Sour Bleed as a single?
No. So I guess if you do, then yes, I did save one. But it's like a four-way tie between Rumor of Light, Slow Sour Bleed, Glimpse, and Past Life Persona.
I also liked the chorus of Idlewild is really catchy too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Idlewild is probably my top, rounds out my top three of Slow Sour Bleed, Cure, and Rumor, and Idlewild.
Also, Wish, the intro to Glimpse, perfect.
It's a good break in the album too.
Yes, that's
for a band that is so technical as ERRA, getting that slight breath of fresh air really matters, I feel like.
No, absolutely. The album definitely doesn't flow the same about it.
My one gripe, or two gripes, I want to say, is I think Cure and Wave are kind of weak as intro and closer. But everything in between, magnificent.
Yep, I would agree wholeheartedly. And they're not even bad notes to start around on. It's just
they're not
revolutionary.
Yeah, they don't stand out. I also think Pale Iris grew on me a hell of a lot. I think I saw that live. I think they played it when they were touring with Bad Omens. I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure they did. That song grew on me a lot. Crawl Backwards Out of Heaven, that was a single that grew on me a lot. And have we talked about End to Excess?
I don't think so.
How do we feel about that?
Not one of my favorites.
Love it,
it's
but
decent.
I didn't hate it. I don't think I don't think there's a bad song on here, or like one that I didn't enjoy. I really do think, to your point, if Cure and Wave were a little bit stronger as opener and closer, I think that this would be in like serious contention for one of my top albums of the year. But yeah, I can tell that a lot of these songs have staying power in a way that the self-titled didn't necessarily hold up to. And I mean, you can just tell this band has evolved. Their sound, they've, like you were mentioning, they went in a different direction, but the direction that they wanted to go in. And it's almost like Ghost Atlas kind of weaved its way into this a little bit. Like
I see it especially in Blue Reverie.
Mm-hmm. It's Blue Reverie and Past Life Persona for me are where it's the most evident. But Jesse Cash, it cannot be understated how individually, even in talking about how the technical side has kind of gone to the back, it cannot be understated how impressive every member of this band is at what they do, whether it be vocals, instrumentals. Like this feels like an evolution.
This conversation has convinced me I'm buying it.
Get in there.
Another frisbee to the collection.
Yeah.